Reagan, sorry.
Tom Reagan.
He just had surgery, right?
Yeah, today. He thought he was going to be
Today.
available to do it. He messaged me as he's, I don't think I'm going to. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I noticed your background, Steve. It's hilarious because if you went straight to over your right shoulder in that background and walked straight through the woods for about 3 minutes, you'd be in my backyard.
No, you'd have to walk the opposite way. So if you walk that way,
over
Oh,
your right shoulder.
yes. So yes, this way. Yes.
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 Yeah, you'd be in my backyard.
That's the fairway of 17 toward one Reds basket.
Yep. And up the hill and keep going.
Let's see if I got
You called text Tom Roach?
Gene's on. Hey, Gene.
I thought he was supposed to be on.
Well, I'm wondering if he's has
Yeah,
trouble
everyone
with-
said they could go.
Hey, sorry, it's been a long time since I've been on Zoom, so I don't know what the hell I'm doing anymore.
Hey, Gene, thanks for
Gene.
joining.
Look at that shot of the background Steve's got.
Representing Hearts of Park. I actually have this is the background I use for work too. My work meetings. It's my happy place.
I like it.
I just
I've
texted
never
Tom.
been
Say again?
in Charlie. I said I've never been to Hearts to that park.
No?
You're kidding me.
Oh,
Wow.
it's a gem.
Oh, you're not a Rockland girl, that's why.
No.
Hey, I'm not either, but I live there, okay?
Well,
Mhm.
you've been here a lot longer, I think.
No, Karen and I, let's see, our kids went to school together.
Yep.
Oh. So how long
What
you-
year did you move here?
Okay. Oh, I found my video.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
moved-
We moved here, let's see, we're on 23 years.
Oh, same.
Yeah,
December 2002.
yeah. We were September, I think. Yeah. Because Stephanie
How
turned.
are the girls?
They're good. They're awesome. Steph's living in New Hampshire, and she manages a luxury apartment building, for the Hanover Company. And Sid's just home from RPI doing her thing.
Nice.
Yeah. It's great. She came home for a minute and then I haven't seen her since. I'm just kidding.
Yep. I don't see Max either.
Yeah, that's the way it goes, right?
Yeah.
So here we are on meetings at night.
I know.
Did anybody reach out to Tom Roach?
I did.
I'm here.
Oh,
Tom,
hey,
yeah.
here we go. All right.
Okay.
Just got
Let's
no
call-
video, kid. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
So can I ask why is do you not that I don't like you here, Gene, but are you part of this committee now?
No, we're talking about Hearts of today.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so I'll put her on
Yep.
from rec.
Yep. Recreation Director. All right. We can call to order the Community Preservation Act Committee meeting for Tuesday, May 27th. It is 7:04 p.m. In attendance, we have myself, Steve O'Donnell, Derek Ewell, Joe Reese, Tom Roach, and Ian Davidson. Special guest Jean Blaney from Rockland Recreation, and our administrative assistant, Karen Ann Ripley. Let me pull up the agenda. And we are broadcasting live to YouTube. So this is being recorded. We're being broadcasted live. By attending, you consent to being recorded and broadcasted. All right, share screen. You guys see my screen all right?
Yep.
Great. All right, so first item is meeting minutes approval. We'll take meeting minutes from April 30th, 2025. Myself, Joe, and Tom will be the only people that can vote.
Motion to approve?
Second,
All right.
Who
Oh.
did second, Derek?
Tom.
Tom Roach.
Tom Roach.
Right. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to keep asking that, sorry.
That's okay. All those in favor? I'm a
Aye.
yes, Tom's a yes, and Joe is a yes. That's approved. The other meeting minutes that you submitted, Karen, those are my handwritten notes pre Zoom meeting.
Yeah,
Those should have been submitted, and those aren't full notes. Those were just my personal notes that
yeah,
happen to be in that book. So I don't know that it's appropriate to approve those.
okay. don't
Did you have an
think there was-
opportunity to talk to clerks about?
So I asked her to send me the dates that weren't submitted, and I have the dates.
And those are dates is not submitted?
Yes,
Okay,
so
so
and
then,
then there was some 2019, but 2019 is off the website now, so I don't even know, are we gonna bother even posting those? Cause they're not gonna get posted anywhere.
unless we can find them somewhere,
Cause and then I've already started working on,
the others.
2021 was the YouTube ones, but I wanted to get these ones done before 2020 gets removed from the website.
Okay. All right, so I'll open those up and I'll entertain a vote. Give me a moment here.
And the present wasn't noted, so I.
Yeah,
made a
like I
note
said,
of
those are
that,
just
and
my
then-
personal notes.
Yeah, and then I
But it's
put
better
who
than
the-
nothing.
Yeah, who the members were at the time, I put down, I found those online.
So let's do this. So we'll start with, again, these are just my handwritten notes. They were my personal notes. But in the absence of a submitted meeting minutes, it's better to submit something than nothing. So there were no attendance noted. Again, these are personal notes. Meeting minutes were passed over I started writing due to something, nothing there. We discussed the current position of several projects. We talked about King Philip. Was talking about Firefly restorations. The request for proposal was out, and it talked about needing transportation. We talked about the Tramp House and a March start, and there was talk about asking someone about 1,800 houses from the 1,800 tear downs for the window frames. We talked about the notes for the town report. Assign letters to committee for current projects. I don't know what that means.
I didn't.
And then open
App-
discussion.
I think it was applications.
No, it wouldn't have been applications because it's January. We were talking about current projects. All right, so in the absence of anything else, we'll just take a straight vote on these because we don't know who was in attendance, except I know I was in attendance because these are my notes.
Would you rather, in the motion, say these were your notes?
Yeah, that's fine.
Accept the notes as substitute of, original minutes.
Why
or-
don't you give it a go ahead, Derek? You
There
probably
you
get
go.
the best.
All right, so yeah, the motion to approve these as written as a replacement for missing meeting minutes from January 16th, 2020.
Add Steve's name.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Second.
All right, roll call vote. Ian,
In favor, yes.
Tom Roach,
Favor, yes.
Joe Reese,
In favor.
Derek,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. Okay, moving on to the next one. I have to pull this down so I can get to this tab. All right, Community Preservation Committee meeting minutes, February 20th, 2020. Minutes from handwritten notes. Present were not noted. Members at the time. Discussed current position of several projects. We talked about King Philip hand tub was stalled due to the contract being too onerous for the contractor. Moving to invitation to bid from request for proposal to make it more simple. He was the only bidder at the time. If you'll recall, we didn't end up going with this gentleman. He ended up getting sick. Talked about the Robbins land having an accepted offer, 175,000. That's the extra land we got at Hartsel. And then we talked to Doug Lapp about Spring Lake, and that project was moved to 2021. That's what we were talking about. We were assigning articles to be written. We were going to have each of us take an article to write. I don't think that ended up happening. We set a short notice meeting date for review of articles prior to February 28th. And then we just had an open discussion of Community Preservation Act. I'm going to give that another shot, Derek.
Motion to accept minutes from handwritten notes by Steve from February 20th, 2020.
Second.
I'll second it. Ian will second it if you like.
All right. Roll call vote. Ian,
Yes.
Tom Roach,
Yes.
Joe Reese,
Yes.
Derek Rule, you all.
Yes.
Steve O'Donnell, I'm a yes, and that's unanimous. Okay, meeting minutes out of the way. Next up, discussion of Hearts of Park open space use plan, and I happen to find my copy, so we have something to reference. I believe this was the final. Gene, if you see something in here that doesn't look final, let me know, and I can dig again. But
Yeah, sure.
this was marked as final, September 27th, 2021. This was a study that was funded by Community Preservation and then run by a Hearts of Use Plan committee that was spun up with members from, I think we had members from Parks, Open Space, CPC, and Recreation. So we talked about the current uses. It was a really neat project that was done. They did community surveys, talked to Gene, I believe her staff, the Parks Department, about all the different uses. The organizer at the time, which was Mark Ewell, Pete Ewell's son, for disc golf, weighed in. And some sketches of the land that we have. This is the Robbins property. This is the existing pond, field, and the pond with the bridge. The purple were the proposed pedestrian paths. It's really co-opting existing pathing that already is there. Tom, I'm going to mute you. Some pictures of a parking area. Oh, these are, I don't know why they called it a dog park. They must have thought this was a dog park. This is the Spartan race area. Basketball
think-
court.
Yeah, they called it dog park, but there was some interest in putting a dog park
Yeah.
at Hearts of Park.
Existing playground, existing bathrooms, existing seasonal pond, although that pond hasn't drained in quite some time. And then the swimming area, which looks excellent this year. I saw it on Sunday. They did a great job getting this new sand down.
Yeah, we need more.
I was there today, Gene, actually.
Oh, did you see the big snapping turtle?
I did. Popped up and looked at me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Monster. There's a couple small guys in there now too.
Yeah.
My daughter left it today and there was a little rodent and a snake. Well, a big
Nice.
rodent. I don't want to name it. I don't want to get people nervous.
Eh.
In the water?
No, near the bridge.
Oh, okay.
A rat.
I was gonna say I'd go get them if they're in the water.
It's the woods. What do you want? Like,
Yeah.
I
That's what we
know,
expect to
I
see.
know.
That's where we want to see them, right?
that's right.
We just don't want to see them in your basement.
That
There's a
snake
good-
is going after the rodent. That's what's happening there.
That's right.
There's
Circle
a
of
good
life.
sized fisher cat out there too.
Yeah.
We saw one going across the beach a little while back, and from about 100 yards away, it was pretty big.
Awesome.
Yeah. They'll all eventually disband. They'll go into the
Yep.
woods.
Gaga ball court that's over by the shed. There's the bridge that was redone. Was that 2019 that they redid that? Might
Somewhere
even been
around there.
2020. Yeah. And just some pictures of what exists today. The demographics of the town. Population by age, which I thought was interesting. Now you can see our elderly population is growing.
Slide it to left, I think.
Hmm?
We can't see the page.
You can't see the page.
I can see it.
Just for my notes, who did the study?
Yep,
Who
it's
did
on
it?
the first page.
All right, we can go back after.
I can go back.
Or Steve, if you could just send it to me and then I'll make.
Yeah, I
this.
can.
Eh,
I will.
Yeah. Oh, maybe it's on the last page. I don't
It's probably on
remember.
the last page, yeah. Demographics, history of the town. Oh, here's where they started to do some proposals. So they talked about combo like restroom, shelter, a picnic, open space picnic pavilion,
That looks nice.
expansion of playground.
Steve, can I interrupt you for a second?
Yes, please do.
The reason this was put on, we're looking for direction of what CPA funds can do with this project, what they can what can be funded. So that's kind of what we're looking for to go forward. So we get a better idea to keep going forward on this. And if Gene wants to add anything.
Nope, that's exactly it. Well, I can tell you right now, opening up, we've already started to open up, and like the community center, I'm holding the bathhouse together. Even though it's cinder block, some of the plumbing has failed. I replaced it, but more importantly, like the drains. So if anything was to overflow or flood or whatever, the drains are not working. It's past its useful life, like a lot of things that we have in town. And the stalls are not accessible. And I do have some kids that have disabilities, so they're still able to use the stalls, they're just not up to code. And then it is on a septic system. I don't know the age of the septic system. Somebody, several people have asked me that, but it was before my time, and actually Peter didn't even know how old that septic system was, but it's still working. It just that needs to be updated as well. So if we were to possibly put something in like a new bathhouse up in that area, and I'm not exactly sure that where they put it would be where it would go, because if you look at where wetlands are, I think where they've pictured it, this was before we had the land surveyed. That picture is half of that picture is in the in wetlands, but so it'd be positioned in the grove somewhere, and that's not for me to decide. That's for us to figure out where
We
it
talk
should.
about the Grove, we're talking about this area here.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, you can't see my finger. Yep. So where it says restroom shelter,
Yep,
like up in that area somewhere.
that's where the old mobile home was.
Right. And so half a chunk of that mobile home, I think, was in the wetlands, if you looked at the delineation of the map.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, so that's and I have probably spent close to over 11 years, probably about $18,000 on tents. It could be even more now. I don't really know, because I've replaced tops and duct pipes and whatever else. So having a permanent structure up there would greatly benefit not only my programs, but people use that. Like, so disc golf uses it for their tournaments. We've had birthday parties up there. We had a baby shower up there. We have corporate outings up there. Like it gets a lot of use.
When I was involved with scouting, we used to do our Klondike
Yeah.
stuff, our winter stuff up there.
Yeah, yeah. So the scouts use it, Girl Scouts use it, Boy Scouts. Yeah, it's become quite the popular place, but we don't really have the facilities to house even more of what we could what we possibly could do with that grove up there. So anyways, getting back to that bathhouse, we don't even have sufficient bathrooms for the amount of people that are up there, because when we're up there, it's not just us, it's our public folks are up there, as well as like our disc golfers. So they're in and out and using the bathrooms. The boys' bathroom has 1 stall. The girls' bathroom has 2 stalls. I have 120 kids in my summer program, up to 150 I can take. So we do have portable bathrooms that we put down by the tennis courts during the season. And those stay open for the public as well.
Basketball court.
Down by the basketball courts.
Yeah.
So that's the scenario up there.
This has been a long time in the making. CPA gave her funds, I believe, 7 years ago, maybe longer.
Yeah.
And she did this big study doing a survey through the town, what the townspeople wanted. And this is kind of what everyone really enjoyed and liked the presentation of it. And it kind of got sidetracked off on another type of project. So kind of backtracking to this and just looking for what we can actually, CPA can fund, so we can try to get some things done. Bathrooms, can we do bathrooms if we have a pavilion attached to it?
So while Jean was giving her overview, I was looking at the Community Preservation Coalition project data bank. There are a number, and I thought the answer before this meeting, I thought the answer to this question was no. That was a hard no. But there are a number of projects related to the construction of ADA compliant restrooms.
Forges Field in Hanover. The majority of that project was done with CPA funds,
Mm-hmm.
and where they have concession area, a pavilion, stuff. They have, I think, 2 shelters out there, 2 buildings anyways.
Yeah, the pavilions we knew, right? Because they're open
Yeah.
air. Like we
And
knew
I
we
think
could do those.
The bathrooms, especially with ADA, that's definitely doable.
Yeah,
They've done
Norwell
it down
did
in
one
Plymouth.
in 2020. They did installing a fully operation ADA compliant restroom facility on the grounds of the Clipper Community Complex. And then in 22 they funded additional materials and labor costs for rehabilitation of the CCC restroom project. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's next town over. Randolph's done a bunch. Salem, Situate, 2013 did some. Yeah, there's
Hey,
a lot here.
hey, Gene, this is Ian. Have you like stack ranked, 1 to 10, what it is, your priority?
So what we're showing here was the ranking at the time. And Gene, I
Yeah.
don't know if your priorities have changed.
Well, they have and only because even though this is a ranking, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the way that the projects should be handled.
Mhm.
But that entrance sign is going to get replaced. It's getting replaced with part of a grant that was done. I don't know. It's a signing and wayfinding
Part of
project.
that
So like
project.
all of the signs are actually going to get replaced in town, and the park being one of them, Hartsoft Park being one of them, and I think they're going to do a couple of the other parks as well. So anyway, so we're already on our way with the sign. To do the road and to do the parking lot, it wouldn't make sense to completely do those now. If we're going to put heavy equipment and we're building a bathroom up in the Grove and we have to bring heavy equipment up there, it would ruin it would
Yeah,
ruin everything that we've done.
yeah, that doesn't make sense to do the roads first. Yeah.
And so I mean I could kind of go through this, but the restrooms and the shelter are really probably one of the most important things that we have to do. And then the playground, the expansion of the playground, I have to relook at that, but I also think that the wetlands might be a problem with that.
Mm,
And then the rest of this certainly doesn't require, heavy equipment, um, coming through the parking lot. So it'd probably be the restrooms and then maybe the parking lot. I'm not really sure. We have to kind of spec out some of these projects.
The idea that we was discussing, we had our first meeting and we were discussing working from the back our way out. So we're talking about up by the pond area in the Pine Grove, working from there all the way out the exit. That way, anything that's being built will be finished and we're not ruining anything else by putting it first over anything in the back. There's still drainage that has to be done, sewer drainage, um, septic tanks or hooking to sewer, either or. So there's a lot
And-
of planning that Jean's done over the years, and Dave Taylor has been working with her on a lot of that construction on the roadway and drainage. So this is a real good plan, and we definitely need it. This is a need, not a want. And it's time for us to try to do this without raising taxes. The goal is to try to get CPA funds, grant money, and sponsors. Like in Hanover, on their bathrooms in the pavilion, Rockland Trust built that building, and it's in their name, I believe. So it's kind of the idea that we're trying to work off of to try to get this accomplished. Is it going to be a time that we're going to have to put in an article? Maybe, but that's a little ways out. Gene,
Well,
you have anything?
with that, as far as an article, something to consider with that would be to almost include, like Jane, if you have a top 4 on your hit list, include them all in the same article, because some of these things on their own, if it's not part of a broader recreational plan, they kind of skirt, like Steve was looking up the bathrooms and things like that. That's absolutely doable when it's also included in a larger project.
mhm.
Right.
Not just we're going to build a bath. You might want to put 4 or 5 of these things on your hit list in the order you want them, the most important 4 or 5. You might want to think about doing them all in the same article and we can package it for the voters as a Hearts of Improvement package type of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Knock them out and fund them all at the same time rather than piece by piece. And it's, I mean, a project like this and the scale of something like this, depending on what it is, we can even break it down to fund 25% a year for 4 years of the total if we pass it at town meeting, and then allocate it before the end of the year.
Okay.
Something along those lines, just to get the ball rolling for the most important things first.
Okay.
The rest of it, and also the things that might not stand alone at town meeting.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, and I've been kind of researching some grants. There are a couple of matching grants out there. And it's all small money, but it all kind of adds up, right? So there's a grant out there for ADA accessible pathways. So we just have to figure out what that means. And then there is the I don't know, Joe, I talked to you about that grant this morning that I found, possibly for some money for the bathrooms, which is great. There's nothing out there for parking lots, nothing out there for a pump track, although I'm pretty sure Peter Yule could do that in his spare time. Yeah, I mean, definitely we should package some of this stuff together. I agree.
The parking lot can be funded when it's part of a larger that's one of the
Yeah.
things that stuck out to me, because I
Okay.
know that they've run into little gray areas here and there, whether a parking lot was actually a part of a larger project that included sidewalks and whatnot in Norwell. But as part of a
Okay.
larger project, it's definitely allowable under CPA.
Okay,
Well,
It's a
for,
good point.
to be able to get grant money, gotta have at least 100 parking, spots. So that's why parking lot is kind of important, part of this, to
Yeah.
get other grants. It's part of, the package, I get, what I understand of some of the grants that Gene and, can't think of her name right now,
Courtney
Courtney
and
and,
Allison.
Allison have, been researching.
Yeah, the other thing too is Allison's looking at a company that can cap the old dump site, for lack of a better term. Sorry, my dog really wants to go outside right now. Anyways, hold on for one moment. So she wants to cap that, and with that comes some money and funding. Sorry, hold on. All right, I'm gonna take you guys with me and just let her outside. Anyways, so she has another avenue of some possible funding for us for this project as well. And we're hoping, and I will be on the open space and recreation plan committee. And I think, I don't know who's representing parks, probably Justin.
No, me.
Joe,
Okay.
and I'm
Joe
representing
will
the
be on
select
there.
board.
Yeah, so Joe will be on there. I just have to make sure that my dog doesn't escape because the animal control officer would have my head. Just kidding.
I see a
Um,
citation coming your way.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully not. She won't go far because, I feed her. Anyways, so that's a couple of the things that we have going on. Yeah, and like I said, there's a couple of grants out there, but yeah, we'll get it on the open space and recreation plan as well.
Sounds good.
So I'm guessing, everything that's in this plan, maybe we can have a check off list, what can be funded by CPA. And that way we have a very good direction to go in, and then we can pursue other areas to try to fund the other things.
Joe,
That's-
aside from the original, the multifunction gym building, which now is going really at Eston, there's nothing here that can't be funded. As long as it's put together in one big package. Like I think the parking lot is a gray area, like Derek said, but if it's pulled together in one big package, then I don't think there's really any issue.
None.
With
Yeah, number
CPA?
5 is the only one.
Mhm.
Okay, that was somebody down the street from me.
And that can't, the multifunction gym building couldn't go there anyways, because that's all wetlands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only thing that CPA doesn't fund is gymnasiums. Everything else that's on the list, especially if it's included in one package, should not be an issue at all.
So-
The only-
So
So
if we
this-
wanted to put something up there, up in where the trailer area is, if it fits, long as it's a pavilion type building, it's doable. As long as it's
Yeah.
not closed in.
Correct.
Yeah.
Bathrooms, is
Bathrooms
the
are-
other
yeah.
area, that can be. And there were a couple of options they throw, like do a bathhouse and picnic pavilion separate, do kind of a joint thing here.
Well, we were kind of looking at a bigger pavilion bathroom area like Hanover, but way bigger,
Well,
if that's possible.
yeah, I was gonna say, we have to see what's able to be built up there, because just looking at it's gonna be tricky, just looking at the outlines of where the wetlands are and buffer zones and everything else. But yeah, I mean, it definitely, something can be done.
Yes, the big thing is protection for the kids in case a thunderstorm rolls in or something like that. That's the purpose of having a shelter for them.
Well, ideally, you want them to have bathroom access too in inclement weather. You don't want to have to run across the
Correct.
top of the hill up there to go to the bathroom, get soaked on one way and get soaked coming back if it's a bad day,
Correct.
I mean, that's a fantastic rendering of that top one, with the picnic tables under it and stuff. I mean, that looks fantastic. I mean, small, but something on that is a larger scale.
Yeah,
Right.
and those are actually prefab buildings.
Oh, that's even better. I
Yeah,
mean,
they're not that expensive.
yeah,
Well,
modular is definitely the way to go.
I mean, they're expensive, but they're not as expensive if you were just to build it from
Mm.
the ground up.
Yeah, they gave us some numbers to kind of play with. I mean,
Oh,
these are
those
outdated
are
now, but
so outdated.
I know. So
That looks
multiply by
nicer
2.
than, that looks nicer than Kings Park in Weymouth.
Yeah.
I'll let Steve know you said that.
See that pavilion right there? If we can put
Yep.
something like that with the bathrooms, handicap accessible, but bigger, up in the area of the Pine Grove. We're having the pine trees evaluated to see if they're safe to stay or be removed. So we're in the middle of trying to get something like that done. And how do people feel about that? Because I feel it's a safety issue. I sent Gene some pictures of some trees that are split 20 feet up, branches that are rotted hanging over the picnic area. Branches are constantly falling down off of those trees. I'm just afraid someone's going to get hurt if we don't address the possible danger that's lurking.
Now that's a sweetheart right there, because Rockland's been missing a bandstand for quite a while. The one at the middle school,
Yeah.
love it, but that is like brutalist architecture. It reminds me of City Hall in Boston.
So we did put in some electricity where that bandstand would go,
Mm,
so that we're able to house bands down there.
yeah, that's a
So
fantastic
we can
thing.
do a
That's
concert series down there and have the right amount of electricity to house a band. So
Would be cool.
yeah, and then accessible trails I feel like is one thing that is another thing that we really need down there. Doesn't have to be all of them because it's not going to be all of them, right? But we do have an older population that is now beginning to walk the trails, and as they walk the trails, we just see more and more roots just because more people are out there kind of pounding down the sand. So it just it makes me nervous sometimes. Some of the people I see with canes walking through the woods, but yeah. So if we can figure out a way to do that as well, like I think that would be great. I don't think we're gonna have an expansion playground. Maybe we can find and put an older playground somewhere else on the park, but that expansion of a playground is I don't think that's doable. I think I already said that. And then disc golf, this kind of rearranges the way that disc golf goes. So it takes it out of the public
Traffic areas.
areas and it puts it more back more into the woods. Some of them haven't really changed, but some of them will change.
Yeah,
And
we've had conversations about that. We'll work together with the
yeah,
community to get that so it works for everyone.
yeah. No, I mean, listen, 3 discs went in the pond today, and the guy's like, "When are you gonna drain that thing?" And I go, "Oh, dude, you missed it.
Yeah,
We already drained
they're
it.
coming. They're coming.
Yeah, it'll be next year, next May."
Well, I pulled about 50 of them out of there.
Yeah, yep. Yeah,
Yep.
they all went. Sean got them all, but
Well, I'm sure they did.
Yeah, they go up for anyone watching this later on there. Rockland Athletic houses the lost and found.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Is there any consideration on the ball field that's down there being done?
Yeah,
Anything for
so currently the park department has moved it and they're utilizing the backstop down there and it's become a smaller softball field. So we would like to have it more of a multi-purpose field so that, you know, the outfield is more like a soccer field or it can be used as lacrosse or even a small flag football field. So that we're utilizing that the most that we can. However, that field needs to be ripped up, drained. It would be great if we could put a well in so that we could have sprinklers and actual grass grown there because right now there's no water in that area. We don't have any water lines. The water line that we have comes off of Hingham Street, runs through the parking lot and up to the Grove. But that property, where we did some work, actually, I think it was probably 2 feet down, you hit water. So it would take nothing to drill a well and to use well water to sprinkler that field, and it could be really beautiful.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, the other thing that I would like to do, I would like to put lights on that field because we have parents in the fall that they all turn on their headlights and face them all different directions.
Yep.
And although that is small town America, so cool, the neighbors don't really love it.
Correct.
So if we had lighting, lighting that they currently have, it shoots right onto the field, and there's no God, I
Spread
forget the
over.
term, off lighting.
Yep.
So it's very specific and it's high tech, and you can turn them on and off right from your phone, and they have it now on the turf field. So that would be another consideration for that field. So yeah, a lot of
That's not
thoughts.
part of this project now, though, right?
What?
That wouldn't be part of this project now.
There's no reason we couldn't. We included it as part of the bicentennial project.
Okay, just curious.
The
I
main
don't-
thing, the main thing is the being able to put a well in, because anything that we do there is not gonna take or be very well taken care of, because that's so compact. Derek will tell you, that place used to be a racetrack back in the day, and it's very, very packed down. So for us to be able to do this correctly and right, we definitely need the irrigation to go forward.
Yeah. That was a great question, though.
Very good. I remember the JCs and Knights of Columbus, a bunch of the different town organizations had their softball games there on Sundays and Saturdays back when I was a kid, and it was always a madhouse. It was incredible.
Yeah,
The fence was non-existent, basically.
The Parks guys did a great job of putting a nice infield in. So it looks really good down there. I mean, there's grass now because we've had so much rain and nobody's been able to be on the field. So that's kind of nice. But the geese were out swimming in the puddles in the middle of the field. So that was not so cool.
Leaving nitrogen bombs. Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we had this conversation, and a lot of good input, and appreciate it. Gene, you
This is
have
what
anything
CPA
else?
was for, It's great.
Yeah, no, honestly, if anyone has any questions on the study, let me know. It is an older study, so those numbers, I don't know, you'd have to really boost those up. So I'm not really sure what the numbers would be. And yeah, so that's good. We can start moving forward, put this on the open space and recreation plan, and kind of get moving, at least in the background for a little bit on this type of plan. Yeah. And I think it'll be a great one for CPA, because we can just add, CPA project to the front entranceway, and now people can see what their tax dollars are going towards, right?
Well, it's something that they can all use too. I mean,
And they definitely can use it.
some of the projects that CPA funds, they're very pointed at one specific demographic or another, or one organization. Not everybody's interested in the GAR hole. Not everybody, but Hearts have, if it comes to fruition like this proposal, it's a little bit of something for everyone,
Absolutely. I agree.
It's a great idea, but just one other question is, are we spreading ourselves a little thin between this and bicentennial?
I don't think so, because you're looking at a long-term project with this. This isn't something, so you would fund the entirety, and I like what Derek said earlier, where you essentially allocate, so rather than taking a loan, you would allocate a certain amount of funds year over year toward this project, so that it kind of builds up a fund to be able to use. And then you have an initial disbursement. So each year you would get disbursements toward working through this. The initial outlay would probably need to be a bit more expensive because of the bathhouse proposal, but then everything else after that is they're smaller dollars. So if you were able to roll that out without taking a bond, although you could bond it, it shouldn't roll us too thin. We get about 450. So, even let's round down, be conservative, say 400,000 a year in CPC revenue. That's before state match.
Right.
We're using, I think it's like 170,000 a year of that toward bicentennial. So there's still, and that's the way we structured it. So we would still have funds available. Plus Plus, we had a little bit reserved left in our account, even with the initial outlay of 750,000.
I just didn't want to get us caught in a
No,
bind.
it's a good, always keep that in mind though,
Yep.
because we could be in that kind of scenario. But if we kind of look long-term at what's before us, there really isn't much on the horizon.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and this timeline, this isn't going to happen next year. Like, there's some work that has to be done, but the fact that we have, if it's accepted by CPA and it's passed a town meeting, now we can go after those matching grants, right? So
Yeah,
If-
available funds.
yeah, so now we have available funds to do that. And there's more out there right now that for parks than I originally thought. So
Good.
you just have to be creative.
How long would this take? You say
Um,
from start to finish?
Well, I mean, if you're Situate, it takes a year.
Right.
But we're not Situate,
This will
so
be that 10-year plan.
yeah, we're probably that, maybe a little bit less. I'm hoping a little bit less than that, but yeah.
I was thinking 5.
Yeah, I had 8 in my head, but
So
Well, you
Steve, does he need to submit a pre-application?
Yeah, once kind of the priorities start to take shape, and you get an idea of the numbers, yeah, pre-app, and then you put it for some amount of money, and you can do it a number of ways, right? You could do, if you have a good idea of what it's going to cost, put that forward. Otherwise, you could do kind of what we did with the crosswalk lights for the rail trail, where it was, initial outlay, and it's like, okay, that got us, 80% of the way there. Okay, let's do another outlay to get us over the finish line. And so I imagine it would be something like that as, prices change over the course of a decade.
I mean, you could always put this, I mean, in the kind of the 5-year plan type of thing,
Mhm.
you could almost stipulate this through CPA that you're going to get an outlay of $105,000 every year for 5 years, or every year until project completion type of thing. So you could almost gauge the timeline of the project by the the disbursement of the funds.
Yeah, you
and
would
say
need to
we
call
want it
for the
done-
whole dollar at the town
Yeah.
meeting with the
Yeah,
description of
absolutely.
how it would come out. The other way to do it is, essentially put it forward that way and then keep coming to town meeting year after year for a certain amount.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the one downside of the year after year at town meeting thing is if you get a bad year
Yeah.
and something doesn't get approved, that is a necessity for the next item to be done.
Right.
If you're doing things in chronological order from your
Right.
biggest need to your biggest wish type of thing,
Yeah.
you wouldn't want to jump it where one bad year at town meeting, everybody's sour, the market tanked, nobody wants,
Right.
they say, hold the money. They're just going to stick it to, even though they're there for a reason, they're going to stick it to the bureaucrats or whatever they come up
Right.
with.
Right.
I hate to see something cut short because, or basically jumped over because of, a bad year or the crowd isn't quite feeling it that year. Or everybody wants to say no.
The other thing
But
with
you
these,
could set that up like,
yeah. The other thing with a lot of these grants, there's a park grant. I don't know what the whatever. I don't know what it stands for. So so that grant, you kind of have to get in, you have to get in what's called the queue. So I could apply for that
Mhm.
grant this year. There's no way I'm going to get it, even though Rockland's never gotten that grant, right? But I could possibly get it the second, third, or even the fourth year. So you just have to kind of get in the government queue in order to get these grants. So that they
if you
keep
have a,
saying,
you have a
yeah, huh?
if you have the guarantee from CPA at town meeting for
Yep.
these funds that will be available,
That's the other one.
that allows for you to get in line a little, now
Yeah. Yep.
speak, if you had some kind of a guarantee for the funds, get it through town meeting at the next meeting, the next available meeting anyways, once this is concrete next year, next May, if they do a special, I mean, who knows in
Yeah.
the fall.
Yeah, they do.
Get something,
They do like you to be shovel ready, so there's a little bit more to it, but yes. They love the fact that you have those funds available.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Sounds great.
So Derek wants me to move the bandstand up.
I think, and I've said it for years. The thing that was missing when they, and again, I probably aging myself, but when I was a kid, they did have bands in the Rockland High School parking lot. The bandstand that was there for years that I used to skateboard on. They had electricity out there. They had bands. People would come down. You'd have whole families piled into the bed of a pickup truck, sitting down listening to bands, whether it was the old Say To It, orchestra or the high school band or, Peter and Matt Moran and those guys. There was always somebody, playing down there, and it was great. I'd like to see more of that. And I mean, I think that layout for a festival like atmosphere with a, swimming accessible all day type thing, ticket taker on the road in, I think
Yep.
that as far as fundraising for the property and for the programs, you couldn't beat something like that. That pavilion, and you add into that a bandstand. I mean, the bandstand's going to make you money. Now you have a home for housing entertainment for families, for people. If it's a free concert series, you get a radio station involved, and you sell tickets to a pay concert series. People will buy them, especially if there's popular music.
I'll be calling you, Derek.
I'm here. I'm not always available when I'm here.
And what you're saying, Derek, is kind of the goal to bring in revenue
Absolutely.
with this project, even if we have a pavilion or a building with some type of kitchen. There's all types of ideas that
Oh,
are
it's
floating
passive
out there.
income.
Yeah,
It's passive income. You have a property. If you're not using it, rent it.
correct.
Yeah. Well, we kind of, Joe and I were floating back different ideas, and one of the ideas with the pavilion up in the Grove would be to put a kitchen in there, because the food trucks right now are struggling in the wintertime. They want to do catering, but they don't have a kitchen to go to. Right. So the
You can rent a
kitchen,
commercial kitchen. Yeah.
so the kitchen at the sandpaper factory is not adequate to do that with. So they're out like scurrying. And even the one at Forges Field, that's a snack shack. It's not
Yeah.
an actual kitchen that they can cook in. So that was one of the ways we were kind of floating that by. And then we had an inquiry 2 years ago to do a wedding up there, but once they saw the bathhouse, they were like, "Oh, thank you."
You look at Camp Kiwani. I mean,
yeah,
I've used that as kind of the benchmark for quite a while, even, going back.
Oh, we lost you, Derek.
yeah, no. So like Derek was saying, they had talked about it for years ago about Camp Kiwani and the function space that's there. They just have somebody that's dedicated to renting out that function space, that function hall.
Right.
And oh, you're back, Derek?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You were froze for a minute there.
Oh, it just popped me. Yeah.
So, and even they have cabins that they rent there. It's really a cool place, and we don't have to have it like that, but the kitchen alone, I think, it's such a cool idea.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm sold.
thanks.
Any further discussion?
I'd like to thank you for listening to us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for
Giving us-
coming out, Gene. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thanks, Gene.
No problem.
Good
Bye,
luck.
Jane. Nice seeing you.
Thank you. It's great seeing all of you. And my dog is still in the backyard. Just saying. Bye, guys. Have a
Bye,
great
Gene.
night.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right. Going over to the agenda. All right. Next one up. Actually, why don't we take this out of order? So we can go over reasonably unanticipated new business, because I have something, rather than trying to hand this over and do all that. So entertain a motion to take this out of order.
Motion to take this out, number 3 out of order.
Second,
Second,
All
Ian.
those in favor?
aye.
All right.
Aye.
Reasonably unanticipated new business. Karen sent an email and I sent over some supporting documentation related to, and I didn't know this was a thing, but you learn something new all the time. So I'm going to move this over here. So Allison Quinn, our town planner, reached out to me and Karen today because we got she received notification that the town has first right of refusal to purchase affordable housing over on, what is the name of it?
Midfield.
Thank you. Midfield Drive, I think it is. And I didn't even know this existed. It's the Glen, I think they call it. And so they're like duplex style houses that are coming up for sale, and they have affordable housing restrictions on them. 18 and 21 are the two that are up. I'll pull up the documentation that we have for that. They were sent on April 9th, so I think we're out of our window, but she did want us to talk about it in case we get things like this in the future. The affordable restriction will stay with these properties in perpetuity. So it's not something that we need to act on to make sure that they remain affordable. But it is an opportunity that if we wanted to make it town-owned affordable housing, we have that as an avenue, and we could purchase these with CPC funds. So you can see the selling price is going to be $264,718. They're going to add a resale fee of 2.5%, so $271,500, which for this day and age for any kind of housing purchase is unreal, and a great opportunity. And I know
this is Rockland Glen, right off
Yep.
of off of
Hingham Street.
Hingham.
So
Right.
Right, so I know a couple people that live in there, and that's a third of what their cost
Yeah,
is.
not all of the units were marked as affordable, but there was a certain percentage that were made affordable in perpetuity.
So this is Ian. I have a question.
Yes.
What's the advantage if they always have to be affordable? What's the advantage of the town purchasing and then having to maintain and all of that?
Honestly, it's you're a representative from the housing authority. I would look to you for information on that. But again, this is something new. This is something new for us. I don't know what the benefit is of having privately owned affordable housing versus town-owned affordable housing. It gives us some control in that regard, right? But I'm not sure what the benefits to the town would be.
Would that fall under almost like Studley Court, like a
Yeah, so that's a town-owned affordable housing project.
exactly? So I mean, it would almost just be like you're adding two very expensive units to Studley Court, or what is the other one?
Garden Terrace. So
Garden Terrace.
Garden Terrace is federal. Studley Court is state.
Yeah,
State,
and then you
yeah.
have the other two that are private with Hometown America, which
Yeah.
I can
Properly.
kind of, being on the rental control board, I can tell you what would make this beneficial for the town to own it is those horrible people at Hometown America. They raise their rent every year just because they can, not because they need to, and they're taking away amenities. The only stipulation they have on them is they can't have any Board of Health complaints, and not that our Board of Health responds to anything right now. And then they can't go beyond the consumer price index.
Mhm.
And I think it was 2021. It was at the end of COVID. That jumped from 3% to 7%. So they upped their rent by that much. So because they could, they didn't stick to the usual. It was usually anywhere between 2 and 3%, and that's how much their rent went up. But because they could do 7, they did, and it was a lot of money for them.
And-
But
and we-
if the town owned this, they could keep the prices lower because they probably wouldn't be so scammy and mean as Hometown America.
Right.
And those are for Leisure Woods, just for folks, Leisure Woods and Hillcrest, the trailer park communities.
Yeah, it's terrible what that goes.
But we would have to do the maintenance on the new property if that was the case, upkeep.
Yeah, they would likely fall under the jurisdiction of the housing authority.
Yeah.
Me personally, I don't see a benefit for the town purchasing these as they are. They're not rental units. They're for purchase, and there are affordable opportunities that you know, for purchase. I didn't know Rockland had any, but it's nice to know that we do.
I mean, I definitely, as far as from a standpoint of like the um Rockland housing, um having two more units, I mean, I know there's usually, and you can probably fill me more in on this one, seemed like there was always a wait list.
Yeah,
Sure.
there is. We don't have enough
Yeah.
units in Rockland. In fact, most of our monies that we use are actually from Section 8 certificates.
Yeah.
That's the bulk of where our money comes in to run the business. I mean, we only have like, I think it's not even 100 units total in the town between
And
Court and Garden Terrace.
and I know we're still under our affordable housing percentage for the state, as far as I knew, right?
We're getting close.
Yeah.
Last
And
I heard.
hopefully the school or the parochial school project adds to that, I hope.
Oh yeah, they will. 27. It's 100% affordable.
Yeah.
27 units.
Yeah. So
That'll definitely help.
we'll get closer, but I mean, there's definitely there's considerable funds that we're falling short of in this town by not hitting that percentage.
Yep.
I think that, I mean, it's definitely, I mean, what does the housing have to say? I mean, is this something that they would in future? I mean, this one might be past the opportunity, but in the future is single units. Anything that comes along like this, is it worth pursuing for housing to add units?
I would say that more than likely, yes. And that would be a conversation to have with our director to have her look at, what our total units are, and then, what the impact would be picking up 1, 2, or whatever.
I mean, we see that
It wouldn't
even in the last-
increase our inventory because it already exists in our inventory.
it exists, but I'm saying as far as for housing specifically, if they were to use those as rental units
Oh,
for
right.
their wait list to lessen their burden as well. But I mean, we saw in the last presentation, actually, it's funny how things kind of mesh together, but the Hartsuff presentation, the demographic studies of
Yeah,
basically
it's growing.
age groups.
Yeah.
And you're looking at the elderly, older population of the town growing.
Yep, absolutely.
It's more affordable in Rockland than most neighboring towns. I know several people that have moved here recently, sold houses in neighboring towns that had much higher property taxes and so forth. And when you own your home outright, you're paying your property taxes on a quarterly basis, and $3,000 to $4,000 a quarter on a fixed income as a retiree.
Yep.
They moved to Rockland, and that drops to 18 to 2,000 a quarter instead of $3,000 or $4,000. So I think you're probably going to see that trend continue as long as Rockland remains an affordable option. Yeah, there it is right there.
I have a question. Does this transfer with every homeowner if they bought it? Where we
Yes.
have I can't even say the word.
First right of refusal. Yeah. it
Thank
would.
you. Okay.
So theoretically, you could slowly, one by one, end up purchasing and end up having the whole.
No.
Well,
No.
yeah, you could, in theory.
Yeah, in theory. I mean, it would take you probably 30 years, but it would be.
Anytime one of these went up for sale, the town could purchase. is what
Right.
Ian's saying.
Right.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah.
think that. I thought it was just these units, not that whole.
Only the ones that are affordable, because not all
Yeah.
of them are affordable housing options.
Correct. Yeah, there's only
Yeah,
a
so it's
certain
only
amount.
if they had 30% affordable housing or 20% affordable housing and there's 50 units, you're gaining 12 units, 15 units,
Mhm.
which is considerable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a win for sure.
I think we have to find out that number. I don't think it's that high. I think it's maybe 4 max out of all those units.
Well, I
Yeah,
can,
good.
we
Good
have
question.
we have a housing meeting, I think, next week or the week after. That's certainly something I can put on the agenda for our meeting and have a conversation with, the director and see, what her initial thoughts on it are.
You only have 30 days.
Well, no, we're way past Joe, April
Yeah, no, but
9th.
we're talking down the road.
Yeah,
so-
down the road. I think that's a great opportunity. It's, a good conversation starter.
Yeah,
Understand
for
what,
sure. Yeah.
what her thoughts are.
Yeah.
This is an area where this committee hasn't been well represented prior to your joining.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yep.
I think it's definitely something worth the time, worth the effort to look into.
Yeah, and I can tell you, she's fairly new. It's just been about a year now, but she has brought a whole new vigor to the position, which is I think it's great because I think we were lacking some of that, and now I think the elderly population, particularly the folks at Studley Court and Garden Terrace, are being much better represented by her now. So
That's great.
yeah.
Excellent.
Any other discussion?
Mm.
All right. In the final topic here. Election of officers. So I wrote a little something. This is my last meeting. So if you want to bear with me. First, I want to thank the committee for the work we've accomplished during my time on CPC over the last 5 years and 8 months. I volunteered to join CPC after being recommended by and personally asked by prior member Pete Ewell. During my appointment hearing, I recall stating to the select board that I was looking to get my feet wet on an appointed committee, and the CPC seemed right up my alley. Mike O'Laughlin pressed me on the commitment and seriousness of the appointment. I may have been a bit lax in my attentions during my speech. I reassured him I was committed to the committee and the progress of the town. Mike Mullen, then a member of the select board, assured the rest of the board that I was the right man for the job. I did not intend to become chair of this committee, at least not as soon as I did. I did intend for this to be a stepping stone on my path toward elected office. As I've stated many times, I moved back to Rockland to give back to the community that gave me so much. This has culminated with my election to the select board in April. I look forward to working with the CPC in my new role and being a constant cheerleader for the positive impacts community preservation has made and will continue to make in Rockland. I have no doubt that this committee will continue to advance projects that meet the criteria set forth in the Community Preservation Act. So with that, we do need to elect, at a minimum, a new chair. Tom
Steve,
Raggett. Go
Steve,
ahead. What's that?
You watching the video?
What video?
I'm wiping my tears.
Are you really? You're a punk.
So Steve, can you stay on it at all?
In theory, yes, I could.
Okay.
Too
I-
much.
I've committed to my wife that I will not.
Okay.
There is a number of things that I'm involved with, and as much as I love the work that we do here, I think I do need to move on. And it does, it breaks my heart. I really enjoy the work that we do. It's parks are very special to me. We've done a lot in that area. I'm glad that we've been able to do some work in the affordable housing space more recently. So yeah, it's a hard decision. I did bandy around the idea of staying on and renewing my appointment. There is, I am concerned that we're, so short on members with me, stepping down. The beginning of June 2nd is my last date of my appointment. We'll have 6 active members. Conservation has given us a member in a number of years, and there are 2 select board appointees at large positions that will be vacant. With Pete, he's already resigned, and then myself. Continue to put feelers out and ask folks if they'd be interested in joining.
How
but so
about
far,
Jean?
it creates a weird conflict.
Yeah, plus she's got a lot of irons in the fire.
I know that was one of Pete's concerns, was being on the park commissioner and
Right.
serving on CPA as well.
It would create a quorum anytime that him and Joe were around.
Yep.
So they'd essentially have to post any meeting that they
Yep.
attended together
Yep.
as a joint meeting.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 commissioners.
So can I ask a question, Steve?
Mhm.
Is the select board actively looking for representation?
Yes, And so we put it out as feelers, but we
Yeah.
can't, and I've talked to a few individuals personally to suggest that they apply to be appointed.
Yeah.
So far that hasn't come to fruition. My select board comments, I've made note of my impending lapse of appointment and Pete Yule's resignation and
Right.
asking folks to fill out appointments along with a number of other committees that have openings. It's unfortunate, but it always seems it's the same group of
Yep.
folks in this town.
It's always been that way. Yep, for sure.
I have a question. Can Karen run and still be our assistant?
I think so.
Oh,
You'd
be
have
appointed,
to,
I mean.
yeah, you could. You would need to get, I think, a waiver because you also are a paid employee of the committee.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would think that might be a sticky point.
It is. I'd talk to town council if that's something you're interested in, but it's certainly an opportunity.
What we reach out to open spaces again.
It would be great to have someone from open space. Not that
it's,
it's, in the bylaws that they have a representation, they could still be
Yeah.
appointed through the select board.
at large, and yeah, it would be good because we find out mostly, as we've seen, a couple months after they've got some ideas.
Yeah.
It would be great to get a heads up on that when it's in fruition before they,
Yeah,
before
absolutely.
need this next month, type of thing. We're
Right.
going to lose this. We're going to miss this. I was on the open space board for quite a while. And, nothing happens fast. So when we get, a bag dropped on our doorstep on CPC, we have 2 months to get this done. And it's, it might be a good fill to see if we could get somebody from that. I know Mike Bromberg and Donald Kahn, they hold that board. I know George Anderson was still on it.
Yeah. Rick Snee is a new member.
Yeah. So, that might be worth reaching out to them and seeing, can we get somebody to put an application appointment in to the selectmen?
I think if it's positioned the right way with the right verbiage, they would see the value in it for sure. Just like you just said, if we can get a little bit of foresight rather than last minute, running around trying to get stuff done, it makes things a lot easier for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll shoot somebody a message and see what I get back and what kind of how accepting they are of, I know they do a lot and might be a little tough to stack them on, especially in a committee that's been the same, few members for so long. They might view it as just another burden or whatnot.
Yeah, maybe it'll get them to start thinking about bringing in some new members too. Fresh blood, new thoughts and questions are always a good thing,
Yeah, there was a couple of us that were a bit younger, newer to committees and boards and whatnot that joined about the same time. And about the same time, we both left to go to other boards. So it was, they got 2 new members and then they lost 2 new members within about 2 years of each other.
Yeah. And that kind of gets back to the same small group of people getting involved in everything, whether it's community based or scouting or sports or whatever, right? So.
It's everything. You see the same names pop up over and over. It's unfortunate, but to each their own, it's not for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't force people to get involved if they don't want to. So
Exactly. Well, we'll see. I would definitely looking for somebody to take over the helm. In absentia, I would say Charlie.
So he has told me that he is not interested
I know.
in becoming chair. He said, Steve, call me for whatever you need, except chair of community preservation. I got to reach out to him. He needs to be reappointed. His appointment is up the same as mine, June 2nd.
Who else is in here that we can throw under the butt? Tom
Reagan. But then we need a treasurer, and he does an excellent job as treasurer. He would be
Joe.
an excellent chair.
I got enough on my plate.
If it wasn't for the timing, I wouldn't mind taking another position. I definitely couldn't do chair. I wouldn't mind taking another position, but the timing of it with, unfortunately, like the situation that we have right now, as caregivers or whatnot, it just doesn't lend itself to being openly available all the time. You know, as you guys have seen in my, my absences here and there, from meetings. So
Well, you still have,
one day.
you can still hold meetings by Zoom now.
That is a huge advantage, especially with if my wife's schedule running in and out.
So
One
I
of the
think-
nights was parent teacher conferences night. We had a meeting, so she wasn't available. I had to be.
So I like to make a motion to make Derek chair because that way he
No.
can use
No,
the Zoom
no,
meeting to make it very comfortable and easy for him to still be able to take care of his father-in-law.
no.
Do I have a second?
Maybe someday, but it.
Hey.
Yeah.
Between you
I
and
get-
Steve, you're one of the founders of the CPA, and you headed it up. You're knowledgeable like Steve is.
Yeah.
I think you're the best candidate for the job. You know it, and I know it, so
It's
entertain it.
if it wasn't for the time constraints and the, needing, even with Zoom, if legitimately something goes south, I'm completely unavailable. And I wouldn't want to put projects or really advancement of things for the town or for this committee in jeopardy because of my other commitments and things that do jump out of nowhere. You get a 6 o'clock appointment in Lexington that you find out that morning they want to see him, at a doctor in Lexington or anything.
Yeah, I get it.
It's very tough.
I'm
And
sorry.
still juggling that. Oh no, believe me, I think it's funny as all get out. It's tough timing right now. Maybe
What
in the
if it
future,
was just temporary until we got more members on to vote amongst more people?
even at that, something goes south next week. And I've already had it happen. This past year was a rough year, back and forth between hospitals. It left very little time for scheduled events. Everything had to be flexible, and that on top of my career, which is a huge, chunk of my time, even when I am home.
So the other two members is Charlie and Tom that aren't here, and the rest of us are here. So is there anybody that's wants to try this?
Who is the sitting vice chair right now? Is it
Charlie.
Is it Charlie?
Yep. He's willing to stay on as vice chair. He's had to cover for me once. I made the agenda and everything. I just couldn't attend the meeting.
So, I mean, even with something like that for a month or two until we can really figure it out wouldn't be awful. To basically rely on a vice chair until we can figure something out, because I do know, like you said, Tom, obviously it's his career path, to be a treasurer, an accountant of, or whatnot. I'd need to really give it some thought because I wouldn't want to sell it short. And that's why I vacated it to begin with. Is because I knew once we had made a move and we were, in the midst of all this upheaval in our lives, that I would end up selling it short, and I didn't want to even make that an option.
Oh, we get it. We get it, Derek.
Yeah,
Family
it's too important.
first.
This committee itself is too important, I think, to mail it in.
I think if Charlie can run it as vice chair until we get a couple more members, 3 members at least on board, and then reevaluate it, I think we'd be in good hands with Charlie for a while until And he might like being the chair, and he might just decide that he would take it. You never know.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I love this. Charlie, we didn't nominate you as chair. We didn't nominate anybody. So you're the de facto chair.
He's probably out of the audience listening.
He's at a planning board meeting tonight.
Well, you know what happens when you're not at a meeting?
Hmm.
Yep.
The train keeps rolling.
This is how Little League comes up with presidents. Who's not
Yeah, yeah.
here?
Right.
He's it. Yep.
So it sounds like we're gonna be without a chair for a while. And we can run efficiently with Charlie in the meantime.
So the problem is, if something happens to Charlie, though, it puts you guys in a very weird position.
Yeah,
Well,
but following, like Robert's Rules of Order, they have contingencies set up that it would step down to the next in line, much like the regular government, it would go to another officer, which then would
Be Tom.
be Tom. It would follow the way that everything else goes, right?
Ian or Tom, do you have
Yeah.
any interest or?
Honestly, Zian, I have a lot on my plate with everything I do, so I'm at my bandwidth.
I am just not connected enough in the town with stuff to feel comfortable enough to chair it right now. I'm brand new to it, basically seeing how the operation goes. I mean, it just be too soon for me, I think. I'd be a disservice to the committee.
I think if we go with the vice for a little while, a couple meetings at most, see where the chips fall type of a thing. And take it one at a time. See what we can come up with. It might be a situation where I can step in as an interim acting chair or something, a temporary type of thing, just to help with the meetings. But that could, like everything, in my life right now, it could, turn into I can't do this right now type of thing.
I'd actually be in favor of seeing Joe run it.
No,
Come on, we need a little comedy going.
I'm not the right guy. I'm not the right person. I know I'm not.
Okay.
I'm a
don't know.
doer to get projects done, but I'm already on 3 boards
Hey,
and
we already got like 3 projects we're talking about here. You're the guy.
I'm the one that's running those projects.
I know.
So
Who would know better about how to keep things rolling?
not me. Sorry. I know my limitations.
Well,
So
it's
what
top
do
of
you-
mind. Ian, your appointment's up, your yearly appointment, and it's up in July. So if you could just
Okay.
have Housing Authority reappoint you,
Okay, so we need to do that before July.
ideally.
Okay, I'll make that as a point to get it on our next agenda.
Yeah, I think you may need to fill out the form. I don't know if you had to fill out a form or if you guys just appoint. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I'll circle back.
And
Liza,
then you'll have to get sworn in again.
Liza can help me with that too, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Now, did everybody do their ethics training as well?
Yeah.
Everybody's got that turned in, because that was another
I'm
thing.
a
that
li- I'm a
popped
little
up
late.
few times. Oops. Yeah. There was nothing else. Yeah. We'll just, reach out to some more people, see who we can get. See if
Yeah,
we
I
can
think that's a good idea. Just everybody kind of, survey the landscape and try to identify some folks that would be a good ad. And you never know, we might find someone that's the perfect fit to step right in and facilitate and, has a skill set for that.
I mean, you look at other boards that have lost people, or somebody stepped down as chair of another board or something like that, that has experience organizing meetings in a public forum. Maybe the selectmen have some input with that, Steve. Somebody that they have in their, in the back of their mind, think outside of the box a little bit. Somebody from a different committee that we could pilfer.
Yeah.
What about reaching out to John, a past member, without saying his last name? Put a phone call into him and see if he'd be willing to get back into the CPA forum.
He was an at-large member.
Mm-hmm.
He was appointed. I can shoot him a text message tomorrow. I wouldn't do it now, but I can send him a text message. See if he's got any interest in it.
Yeah.
I know that our former housing representative was worried about some family business and a conflict and whatnot that could possibly arise when he stepped down, but he's familiar with it anyways. Everything happens in good time. It might be time now. It wasn't time a couple of years ago. Who knows? We're
Well,
only going to find out if we reach out.
everything works out.
Yeah, I'm sure, and we'll get through it.
Yeah. Steve, if you can, the board, select board, mentioning at every meeting that we're looking for members, along with any other boards that keep that advertising going. I know John does it a lot.
Mm-hmm. No, I plan to continue to pump it at least once a month.
Maybe we can press a couple of like conservation to send a representative. They're still waiting on that.
Mm-hmm.
We've never had a conservation rep since this started in 2016.
Yeah, we had it for Charlene for the first year.
Oh, Charlene for 1 year. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. That was it.
Can you put it on the town's Facebook page?
Yes.
Yeah. I think what would be better is that we have Liza put together a list of all the openings. Do it that way if we're gonna do that.
Yeah, I think have an organized list
Mhm.
so that people can understand where the openings are and what's involved.
Yeah, I know they had done that I think 2 years ago. So you guys are opting to not act to leave current officers as they lie?
Yeah, it sounds like it's being tabled.
Yeah.
Unless you reconsider, Steve.
Jesus.
This is what I'm saying. I'm trying not to laugh.
You know I'm gonna ask.
Do it for the GIPA. I mean, you can stay at my house, Steve.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when the wife throws me out.
Yep, you can stay. I got a putting green. You can come over. We got plenty of room.
How do you get a better
Green
offer?
pool? What's not to like?
You can stay in the bed of my back of my truck.
Oh boy.
Charlie's gonna kill me.
Yep.
So do we need to make a motion that we're gonna table
Yeah,
this?
your motion to table.
Unless Steve makes his decision kind of hastily.
Well, for
I
what?
would
So
not
that you
make
can
that
reelect
decision.
me? Either way, it's the same thing. You're electing to not move.
Mm-hmm.
You're the
At
right
least-
guy for the right moment in time. You know it.
At least in this instance for this meeting, I would table it and until we can maybe get some opinions of some of the absent members. Find out intentions. I mean, it's a whole
Yep.
new ball game if they decide that they want out of the committee in the next 6 months or a year or whatnot. And everything changes, lives change, different things happen. So I wouldn't want to jump to something and find out that, Tom Regan can't do it next year or this, or, I'd like to get the opinions of the absent members.
Would your
um,
wife consider running, Steve? Take your place?
No.
I,
She has no interest in this committee.
I'm trying.
I know you are. I know
There's a
you are.
joke in there about a politician that may or may not have had his wife guiding him for a few years.
My favorite president.
I didn't make the joke, but it was there. Yeah, I would say we table it. I will make a motion to table the election of officers, pending opinions and input from absent members, or until the next meeting.
Karen's been waiting to write this down.
Mhm.
Second.
And I will second it.
Who was that?
Ian,
Ian. I
Thank
second.
you.
You're welcome.
all right. All those in favor of tabling?
Aye.
I dissent.
Oh, yeah, you can't, can you vote on this, Steve?
Yeah, I can vote on it.
Yeah. Right
Okay.
up until
dis-
June
I
2nd.
dissent.
Still, yeah. Couple
I'm a
more
no.
days.
That's our first, I think, without having
Yes.
somebody abstain, that's our first no on basically any vote that we've ever done.
Yes, I
true.
think so.
John Hennessy dissented once on,
Did he? Oh, it
I
was.
think it was the lighting for the extra funds for the lighting.
Yep, I
Who
believe it
voted-
was.
Who said no?
On this,
Steve.
me.
Oh, you said no.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't put all in favor, I so Steve said no.
No,
Mhm.
4-1.
A hard no.
Hard no.
4-1, okay.
Yep. Oh, that was priceless.
I have someone in mind, I'll reach out to her.
Yeah, please reach out to anyone you think might be interested, might help, really. Even if all you have to do is have passion for one of the areas, right? Historical, housing, open space, recreation.
Park.
That's
Yeah.
recreation, open space.
Yep. Gotta be
Um,
people out there that see the value in being involved.
and any of the 5 people watching this, if you're taking the time to watch this, go fill out an appointment paperwork.
Oh, we got people watching? Nice.
Yeah, if you look back, you usually get about 5 to 10 views on these things.
Yeah, my wife's got 5 devices in the house that are all on right now.
Is that what it is?
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No,
Aye.
and who's second? Cause I can't
Ian.
see.
Ian did.
Ian.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
All right, guys.
All right, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Good
We'll
night.
talk to you soon.
Good night.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve, for
Thanks,
everything.
Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Have a good one.